As the world continues to watch President Trump not only make a fool out of himself, but also out of America and destroy democracy, the Arctic Ocean is also at the same time literally boiling. So this is disastrous. Now, scientists announced this year that they found a 50 square foot area in the East Siberian Sea that was boiling with methane bubbles. So now, according to Igor Semletov, who's a lead scientist who's studying these methane fountains in this area of the Arctic Sea, said this is the most powerful steep I have ever been able to observe. So now, steep is just a term for a methane gas bubble from the sea floor coming up to the surface. He said, quote, no one has ever recorded anything similar. Well, I have a feeling that that's going to change. Climate oddities will soon become the norm if we do nothing. So now the discovery was announced in a statement from Russia's Tomsk Polytechnic University, where Semletov is a professor. So now, let me give you some details about some of the methane bubbles, right? So now, as the permafrost melts due to human-driven climate change, the ocean gets warmer, permafrost melts. You have things inside the permafrost, carbon dioxide, methane, bacteria, viruses that have been frozen in time. They get released, and what happens is they go up into the atmosphere and they create a climate feedback loop. So that ends up, of course, the air gets warmer, the oceans get warmer, more melting occurs, more gas is released, and it's just on and on and on and on, right? So now the methane from Arctic permafrost, frost, again, exits the ocean in these bubbles, in these strings of bubbles that come up. And so that looks like, that gives the impression that the ocean is literally boiling with methane. So now what makes methane so dangerous, despite its shorter lifetime in the atmosphere, because it doesn't last as long as carbon, but it's better at trapping solar radiation. So it's so much better at at capturing that solar radiation than carbon. It's 25 times greater, has a 25 times more impact than carbon dioxide over a 100-year period. Yikes! So having the Arctic Ocean methane into the atmosphere, obviously not a good thing. It's exacerbating what is already catastrophic warming. So that's bad. So now, last week, the Washington Post are reporting on stunning and dramatic scenes from the region of eastern Siberia, where sections of many older wooden buildings are starting to sag into the ground, rendered uninhabitable by unevenly thawing earth. Not only that, but they found that rivers are rising and running faster, and they end up sweeping away entire neighborhoods. So now you have places that are becoming even more uninhabitable. I would say that the Siberia, not exactly inhabitable to begin with, all that much, but nonetheless, wait till it comes here. And so this is the impact of climate change. It will get worse. And by the way, this isn't the only methane fountain that they found. No, they found a lot more. And that's also indicative of bad news. One crew member said that discovering seeps among rough ocean waves is usually then, quote, harder than finding a needle in a haystack. And yet, they continue to find more and more of them. Now, it's important to note that Russia, the Russian government, like the United States, depends a lot on burning fossil fuels for energy. And Vladimir Putin, not exactly a believer in climate change as well. So that's another thing he and Trump seem to have in common. Trump has stripped environmental regulation as much as possible with numerous executive orders and legislation when Republicans were in charge of both the House and the Senate. Trump's done literally nothing but increase our dependence on fossil fuels, which, fueled this disastrous warming. Not only that, but he's withdrawn the United States from the Paris Climate Agreement. Absolute, utter disaster. Look, if we don't get off fossil fuels soon, there will be more disaster like this. This isn't the beginning. I'm sorry, this isn't the end. This is the beginning. And ecological disaster, it's not just the environment that's being harmed. No, humanity, human civilization is also on track to be harmed greatly by this. And so we have to do something, and we have to do it soon.
Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know how I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.